Okay, before we get started today, I want to just check and make sure that you are all watching Gunnarolla, because he is doing my absolute favorite VEDA this year. What he's doing is at the end of each video, he issues a challenge to the audience, and then he will post the next video the day after the challenge is met. And oh man, it's super fun, and I wanted to make sure that you knew about it. Okay, that's it. To the intro. Alright, it is time for a recent reads, a video where I do quick reviews of the books that I have read but just did not have enough to say about to do a full review of them. First up is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I was actually planning to do a full review of this one because I liked it so much, but then I realized I just didn't have that much to say besides, this is really good. Okay, summary. So this is set in the not too distant future. I guess it's sort of a dystopia. Like, not what I would normally associate with dystopia, because there's no, like, overall controlling government who wants to, like, take away your choices and prevent you from falling in love or whatever. It's just, like, there's been a bunch of environmental disasters, and there aren't enough resources to go around, and, like, everything just kind of sucks for everybody. And there's an immersive video game system called Oasis that everybody plays all the time, because, you know, everything kind of sucks. The creator of this game was an eccentric billionaire who was obsessed with 80s pop culture and who died several years before the events of the book take place. And when he died, in his will, he was like, okay, here's the deal. We're gonna have a contest. I've set up a sort of like quest inside of the Oasis video game. Here's your first clue. Whoever makes it to the end first gets my entire fortune. Let's go. And the first clue is so difficult that it's been years and no one has made any progress. And then one day our protagonist, Wade Watts, figures out the first clue, and then from there it's just like a race between him and all these other characters to get to the end and get the fortune. And oh my god, it's so much fun. I read this whole thing in a sitting. This is one of those books that I stayed up way too late to read because I just did not want to stop. Probably because the pacing is so good. Like, it just zips right along. But there's a lot of other stuff about it that's really great too. Like, I love all of the characters a lot. Wade is particularly great as our protagonist. The book is told in first person from his perspective, and his voice is really good. I also really like the world building. I think it's really inventive. I think some people might criticize this as being unoriginal because it takes a lot of elements from different sources, but I don't really think that's the case. I think that it takes those elements and then like mashes them together and uses them in a new way. Really, I think the only place where this is going to be a serious problem is in the movie version that they're making. I really don't know how this is gonna be a movie. I mean, I know it was optioned before the book even was released, but like, seriously, how is this gonna work? There are so many things in this book that are under copyright, that are integral to the plot, so they're gonna have to license them, and oh man, this movie is gonna be expensive. I see the film adaptation of this being either amazing or terrible. There's really no middle ground for that one. But the book is awesome and you should read it. Next up is Sweethearts by Sara Zarr, which I read as an ebook. This is a contemporary YA novel. So Jennifer Harris and Cameron Quick were each other's only friends when they were children, until one day when Cameron just disappears. And Jennifer's in high school now, and she feels like she's finally moved past the awful childhood that she and Cameron shared. But then Cameron reappears and she suddenly has to deal with all of the things and the feelings that she's just pushed down. I wasn't crazy about this. Like, I didn't think it was bad, but it was pretty much just okay for me. Some of it was definitely expectations problems because I was wanting to read something light and cute, and this was way darker than I expected. In my defense, there is a picture of a heart-shaped sugar cookie on the cover. I think this is a case of perfectly good book, just not to my taste, because I'm not really a fan of the darker contemporary YA. If you are, then you will probably like this. Next up is Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. This was so much better than I thought it would be. I mean, look at that cover. That is not a cover that gives me high expectations. So this one is all about a small town in North Carolina where every family in the town has some kind of like thing. Like there's a family where the men always marry older women, and there's a family where every generation there's one born named Phineas, and he's always the strongest man in town. And this book is all about the Waverly family, whose thing is that they have a magical garden in their backyard. Yeah, this is a work of magical realism. You just kind of have to go with things. And their family has sort of fallen apart in the past several years, and the plot of this book is them figuring out how to fix that. So the plot of this one is pretty predictable, but I liked all of the other elements enough to make up for that. Magical realism is not always my thing because I think it's sometimes used very lazily, but this is really good here. And the setting and the characters are all really strong and compelling. But my absolute favorite part is Sara Addison Allen's authorial voice, because she's a little bit acid-tongued, and I was not expecting that, and it's really good. Like, not in a mean way. It never really feels spiteful. She just says, like, these cutting things about her characters, and it just feels like, hey, I'm just reporting the facts here. But yeah, it was really good, and I enjoyed it, and I will definitely be reading some more Sara Addison Allen. And finally, I read The Name of the Star by Maureen Johnson. This is all about a girl named Rory who is from Louisiana but decides to spend her senior year attending a boarding school in London. And when she arrives, London is in the grips of Ripper mania because there is a Jack the Ripper copycat killer roaming around. Meanwhile, on one of her first nights there, she chokes on some food in the dining hall and has a near-death experience, and then suddenly she can see ghosts. And these two plots come together pretty quickly. And then shit gets real. First of all, oh my god, this is actually super creepy. I am admittedly a giant wuss, but I was like, oh, this is for teenagers. It'll be fine. It was not. I read this at night, which was really stupid just to begin with, and I also read it as an ebook on my phone. And when I read on my phone at night, I just like get into bed and turn off all the lights because it's backlit, and oh my god, that was such a mistake. Which isn't to say I didn't like it, because I did. It was really good. I loved all the characters, Rory definitely, but also all of the side characters are really well drawn. A lot of people have compared it to Doctor Who, and I have to agree with that. It is very Doctor Who-esque. But what really sealed the deal for me was the ending. The ending is awesome. Like, I can't tell you what happens, obviously, because spoilers, but it's so awesome. But yeah, Name of the Star, super good. I'm really excited to read the sequel now. Alright, that is what I have been reading recently. If you have read any of these books, I would love to know what you thought about them down in the comments, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.